So this little espresso machine promises a lot. So let's just talk about this espresso machine first, and then we'll get into the grinder. The espresso machine is exciting on paper, and I've been testing it for a few weeks, using it every day, and here's basically what I can tell you. First, I'm going to talk about the features. The first feature is that it has adjustable temperature. It has 3 temperatures. Those are for basically a high, a medium, and a low, designed for the higher temperatures for lighter roasts, medium temperatures for your medium roast, and low temperatures if you are a real dark roast espresso drinker. As it comes, it's set on the medium setting, which I think most of us are going to find is right perfect in the sweet spot. But let's go over what the temperatures are. The low temperature setting is 88 degrees Celsius about. These are all, of course, have a little bit of wiggle room, but about 88 degrees Celsius, which is about 190 degrees Fahrenheit. The default temperature, the medium temperature, is set at about between 90 and 92 degrees Celsius, which is 194 to 197 degrees Fahrenheit, a pretty decent spot for most people who are drinking medium roasts. So the high temperature is set at 96 degrees Celsius-ish, and about 204 degrees Fahrenheit. Of course, I'm saying ish and about because I haven't tested this with a temperature probe, so I'm just saying what they promise. But those are the temperatures that you can set it for. This machine has a dual heating system, not a true dual boiler. It cannot pull shots and steam milk at the same time, but it has a heating system, one for the actual shots of espresso and one for steaming milk. This is a thermal block machine, not a traditional boiler machine, so it will heat the water for your espresso first, and then I think that it's connected to the steam wand, and that we'll use some of that hot water from it and hyperheat it. The reason behind this, I believe, is that it wants to give you more power in your steam wand, but not have to make you wait for that temperature to go up after you pull your shots. You don't have to want to wait for 15, 20, 30 seconds before you're steaming your milk. It'll be ready to go immediately. It does steam pretty fast because of this heating system. It steams about 25% faster than the Breville Bambino. It also has a real quick cutoff. A lot of thermoblock, thermocoil, thermojet machines, when you do turn off the steam, it will still kind of wind down for a few seconds. This guy cuts off pretty quickly, so that the steam wand is very, very nice. For pulling shots of espresso, the heat up time is about 1.5 minutes, and then to get to steaming mode, it is about 2 minutes. So it will heat up to espresso, and you can start pulling your shot after that 1.5 minutes, and then by the time you're done pulling your shot, the steam mode will be ready to be activated. So it is a slower heating machine than, say, a Breville or other thermoblock, thermocoil machines, but that is because of its tiered heating system. As you can see, it has an analog pressure gauge here that will tell you the pressure, and the red zone is supposed to be the ideal pressure area for espresso, though if you do grind finely, you are going to see it ramp up. The edge of the red is 10 bars, so that is about where you want it to be. It also, they say it has an OPV, or an overpressure valve, which means that it will be able to dissipate pressure and not allow the machine to basically stress itself out too much by applying too much pressure, and that's cool. Machines that don't have an overpressure valve often give you a soppy puck, so this guy gives you a pretty dry puck. It's pretty nice overall. So I have no complaints about that. The included accessories are very, very nice. The stainless steel portafilter is really, really heavy duty and feels good in your hand. Also, it's stainless steel, so the heat retention should be great. Now, it's supposed to have a PID, which is a temperature regulator in here, as well as a temperature sensor. I will get into that a little bit later, but it advertises that it has basically a temperature sensor in here, and that is how you are going to adjust the temperature. It should be regulating its temperature by the reading it's getting from that PID. Like most machines this size, it has a vibratory pump, Italian vibratory pump, so it has you're basically the same pump that most machines have. Nothing really much to say about that. They last a little while, 5 to 10 years, and then they're easy to replace, and almost every espresso machine below $2,000 has this kind of pump. Another cool thing about this machine is very striking in its design. I mean, it's a very, very cool looking machine. It has a lot of nice features. It has a nice look. And though it does look like it's plastic, it is actually stainless steel. This little cup here is magnetic. And you can see that, it sticks to basically, most of the surfaces pretty easily. So I was surprised because I thought it was plastic when I first looked at it, but it's not. It's stainless steel. The steam wand, I said, like I mentioned, it does steam milk very well. I do like the steam wand. It also comes with 2 steam wand tips, a 2-hole and a single-hole steam wand tip. I actually found out I do like the single hole steam wand tip better for my style of steaming. It works better for me, but if you like a 2-hole steam wand tip, it has the option. I mentioned already that the portafilter is really, really nice and really well made. It also comes with a steaming pitcher, which not every machine does come with, so that's nice. And it comes with a very nice, it comes with a very nice tamper with a wood handle, very heavy weight. It's not a spring-loaded tamper or a calibrated tamper. It's not going to help you tamp straight. It does have these grooves on the bottom here, which are just kind of an aesthetic, cute thing for when you tamp, you can see the grooves. That doesn't actually do anything that I know of for your espresso, but it's nice. So it does come with some high quality accessories, which they didn't have to do. So that's gonna save you a little bit of money right off the bat because you don't have to spend $15 on a pitcher or $20 on a nice tamper. Those are in the box. The stainless steel portafilter is 58 millimeters, so it's the professional size that a lot of the accessories are made for. 58 millimeter, 54 millimeter, 51 millimeter, none of those are good or bad, but a lot of people like the 58 millimeter because a lot of the accessories in the espresso world are for this. As far as the machine works, it also has a brief pre-infusion period. Pre-infusion is the idea that you're going to put some water into the espresso puck, the dry espresso puck, at a low pressure, and you're going to give it a little while to bloom. And that is going to mean that you're hopefully going to get more even extraction because this espresso has had a chance to get wet, and therefore you're not going to be putting full pressure against dry coffee. It's going to find pockets to get through very easily. The pre-infusion is pretty brief. It's less than a 5-second pre-infusion, so I think that it's better than nothing. I would like to be able to make that a little bit longer, but that's just my preference. It didn't affect the shots were good, I should say. I'm just saying that it has a pre-infusion. Could be longer, shots were still good. Now that we've given you the overview of the machine, I will say that overall my experience with the machine has been positive. I've pulled a lot of shots with it. I've used a couple different grinders. It does put out good quality espresso. It is not a perfect machine. There are a few kinks. It does, for some reason, after you steam, the whole machine gets very, very hot and you have to flush it to get the temperature back down before it's at the ideal temperature for brewing espresso again. I don't know why it does that because it's supposed to have 2 different heating systems. But like I said, I think those 2 heating systems are actually, I think they rely on each other. So after you steam, you either have to wait 2 minutes before it is cooled down enough for espresso again, or you have to flush it out. It does give you a way to flush it out through the steam wand by holding down the button on the steam wand. It will flush it out for about 30 seconds. You should be able to bring it down in temperature, but that is curious. If you've ever worked with a small single boiler machine, you'll be already used to this experience where you're supposed to flush out after steaming to bring the machine back down to a lower temperature. This is the first thermal block machine that I've had to do that with. Another weak point of this machine is the cord. The actual cord of the espresso machine is it's very thick and it's relatively short. So if you aren't close to an outlet, or it's going to kind of be bulky and it's going to look in the way, it's a very heavy duty cord. Another personal negative, this is kind of a preference thing because I generally will replace the baskets on machines after a little while because a precision basket will give you better espresso. The included basket with this machine is it's kind of like a scalloped basket in there. All right, got it. So as you can see, it's got a kind of beveled shape. That allows it to sit in there more snugly so it won't slip out on you. Now, I've never had a problem with a basket slipping out for me, but as someone who does like to keep their accessories really clean, which means I like to pop my basket out every day or so and make sure the inside of the portafilter handle is clean, it's just kind of hard to get out. You do really have to hold it with a cloth and really pop it out. And if you're not used to that, if you're not used to doing that with espresso baskets, that can feel scary. It feels like you might cut yourself. You can also pry it out with the edge of a butter knife, but it doesn't affect the performance. I just don't prefer that shape of basket. So the biggest negative of this machine is that though it has a PID and though it has adjustable temperature, I don't feel like you can trust that temperature. I also recognize that for many people who make espresso, they're not as finicky or particular about espresso as others. So you might not notice the flavor from a very hot temperature, especially if you're drinking milk-based drinks, you might not notice that as much. This machine does have a lot of positives. The temperature for me is the biggest negative, the fact that you do have to flush it out to get back down to temperature after every action. Not the end of the world. If you're making a cappuccino for yourself every day, you're just pulling a shot, steaming some milk, and then you're gonna drink it, and then you're going to work, or maybe later in the afternoon you might make another. This shouldn't be a problem. But if you're trying to make drinks back to back, then it is a little bit of a problem because you will have to flush it out. But I also will say that I don't have too many complaints. It is a very capable machine that has a lot of cool features that people like. Those are the positives, those are the negatives. You decide. So let's get into the grinder here, the grinder that comes with this combo. Now this is another very thoughtfully designed grinder. This is a hopper-based grinder, so you're supposed to put your beans in here. It is also a timer-based grinder, so you can program your times in here. And it is a multi-use grinder with everything from French press to espresso on the settings. Now, if you do have a relatively full hopper and you do set your timing, you are going to get your weighed dose in the range of 0.5 grams about every time. I've done a lot of testing to see how it does with the timer. And there is, of course, with time, it's not easy to get it consistent to the gram or to 0.1 grams, but it's going to be within 0.5 gram. And for a lot of people who aren't as picky, that probably is fine. In my experience, this grinder is designed for, on the espresso end, it works better with medium dark to dark roasts. When it comes to finer roasts, it can get fine enough to pull the shots, but you're right on the edge. When I was pulling light roast espressos, it was all the way, I have it on the absolute finest setting, and I would have to pull a 20-gram basket, which means a very full basket, in order to get the right shot times that I'm aiming for. So it is capable of espresso, but if you are drinking light roast or medium light roast, you will find that it does not really give you a lot of settings. You will probably be adjusting your espresso more on the dose versus on the grind settings, which is something you can do, but it's not perfect. So I really have been playing mostly in the setting 0, setting 1, and setting 2. And if I really load that basket up, I can play in that range, but that's it for the medium light roast that I've been using. It does have a lot of great design features. I mentioned the magnetic catch cup, which is really, really nice. It's very well built. It's stainless steel. This part right here feels like plastic, but the rest of it is stainless steel, including the part where your espresso comes out. Has the option of time dosing or cup dosing. So if you were using it for your brewed coffee methods, you will find that you can set it for 4 cups or 8 cups or whatever, and it will give you an approximation of that, which is, cool. It comes with a portafilter holder, which just slips on very, very easily. Yeah, you can just put a portafilter holder right on there. That's no problem. It's very, very easy. But this guy right here this is a dosing cup, so it does fit perfectly right on the 58 millimeter portafilter. So that's nice. It does come with a nice dosing funnel. So the dosing funnel will go right on your portafilter. If you are using a tool, this will keep you from spilling your espresso. And like I mentioned, this machine, when used in combination with this grinder, does need a higher dose, 20-gram-ish dose. So this will be good because if you are doing shot prep, that will help you from actually spilling any of your espresso out. So as far as the retention goes, retention means how much espresso that has been ground is stuck inside the machine. If you just do it as it is, you don't do anything, you just grind it through, about 1 gram gets stuck in there. So that's 1 gram of espresso from yesterday that's stuck in there. If you rock it and tap on it a little bit, the retention goes down to 0.5 grams. And if you were really aggressive, you can get it down to 0.1 gram. But basically, just giving a few light taps like that, you will have 0.5 gram retention, which is pretty standard in most espresso grinders below a couple $100. Another couple nice design features of this machine. One is that it has this nice little brush for cleaning right on the top of the lid, which is nice. You'll never have to ask where it is. That's good for cleaning out your espresso grinder. If you feel like things are getting stuck in here, you can go in there and you can just get out any of the stuff that might be retained up in there, which is nice. It's useful to have that. It's nice to know where your tools are. Another thing that it has is if you had to take apart the hopper to clean it out, it comes off very easily, and it has this automatic little closing teeth on there so that if you did have any beans in this hopper and you wanted to get it off, but you don't want to have to go through it's tough to get beans out of a hopper, trust me. It will catch as many of them as it can in there. Also, the actual burrs come out very easily. They just twist off and pop out like that. That's really, really good for cleaning. Very, very easy to clean this machine, very easy to take it apart. Very, all in all, it's very, Toonie seems to really be thinking about their design, and I like that a lot. They are putting a lot of care and thought into their machines. There are some things that aren't working exactly as they were designed. Specifically, this guy right here gets a little too hot and needs to be flushed out, and this guy right here doesn't go fine enough for light roast. If you're the kind of person who spends day after day watching espresso videos on YouTube, this might not be the machine for you. If you're kind of the person who likes lattes and wants to start making them at home and wants to learn the basics, this is a decent combo. This is not a combo for people who don't want freshly ground espresso. It does not come with pressurized baskets. Hard-working machine, good combo, probably not for the espresso obsessed. For the espresso fond, not the espresso obsessed. It's a perfectly nice grinder. It works better than most grinders in this price range. So all in all, really cool combo. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that helped you make your decision on this espresso machine combo right here. And that's all I got for today. Bye-bye.